Hello class, welcome to the lecture of Toba texting. We are continuing with the third clip of the same chapter. Please refer first and second videos for further information. Here, the story starts with the incident of a fat guy Muslim from Chiniot, it's a place from Pakistan, and he is an active member of was an active member of Muslim League, a party of today's Pakistan. And his specialty, or rather he was lunatic, and his specialty was he took baths 15 times a day. And after hearing the news of partition, he stopped bathing entirely. And his name was, coincidentally, his name was Muhammad Ali, the same name of Pakistani Prime Minister. Suddenly, after hearing the news of a partition, he announced he is the Prime Minister Muhammad Ali, Qaid-e-Azam. Qaid-e-Azam means the great leader. It's an Urdu term. And by hearing this, another Sikh lunatic also announced he is Master Tara Singh. Master Tara Singh is a leader, Sikh leader, and luckily both of them were separated in order to avoid any problem. That is why they escaped the problems. Another incident, another guy from the lunatic asylum is a lawyer. He is a lawyer practiced in Lahore, today's Pakistan, and he was admitted into the asylum just because of a love failure. And even if he is admitted in the lunatic asylum, he still remembers lover and he takes care of her. And after hearing this sad news, he is so worried that he may not be able to go Amritsar. Amritsar means today's Punjab, or at the time of partition, it was in India. So here, the lawyer was worried about his lover because his lover is in India and he practiced his barristery in Lahore. So several other inmates tried to console him. You will be able to go India. You will be able to see your lover. But he was so sad because he worried he will not be able to meet the lover anymore. And another interesting case is that there was a European war in the asylum. There were two Anglo Indians. Anglo Indians means people who were born in Britain and lived in India. And they all discussed about the future of their existence in prison, in asylum, and they knew that their country people, Britishers, had already left, and they worried about their food, their existence, everything. The most important worry was they were getting bread instead of Indian food chapati. So they worried, will the new government stop the bread and jam? Will the new government give them the same chapati that is given for other Indian prisoners, Indian inmates? That was their worry. Another interesting case, a sick man was there who was staying there for last 15 years, and he used to mutter, he used to say the same word for last 15 years. That is a meaningless phrase. Apodi gurkurdi annex the be dhaniya the mang the dal the of laltain. It's a meaningless phrase. Often lunatics say something like this. And his specialty was he didn't sleep for last 15 years. Even he did not lie down on the floor for last 15 years. That was his specialty. After hearing the news, he was also worried. Even though he was lunatic, he knew the news of partition. And due to the constant standing, his ankles were swollen and he refused to take rest for the last 15 years. After hearing the news of partition, he changed his usual dialogue. He started saying of the Pakistani government instead of the old one. He added one phrase to the older sentence of Pakistani government. His usual gibberish. And once, with no reason, the Pakistani government was replaced by Toba Singh government. And after that, he began to ask people, where is Toba Singh? Actually, it was his hometown. From Toba Singh, he came to the asylum. And he began to ask the question repeatedly, where is Toba Singh? And what he worried was Sialkot, once India, was now in Pakistan. And all the places have been changed. And he is worried whether Toba will be there or not. And his appearance was also special. His hair had become thin and straggy, and his hair was glued together, giving a devilish appearance. But he was an harmless man. He didn't make any trouble to other inmates. His only question was, where is Toba Singh? After hearing the news of partition. Actually, in his past life, in his normal life, he was a well to do landowner, he was a rich landowner. All of the sudden, he became insane or lunatic, and his relatives brought him to the asylum and he was admitted 15 years back. And his relatives visited him every month, and his name was Bishan Singh. I told you already, he was from a rich family and he had all the relatives. His name was Bishan Singh. But after saying Toba Singh repeatedly, other inmates began to call him Toba Singh. His original name is Bishan Singh. Though he was impervious to the passage of time, or though he didn't know the passage of time, he waited for his relatives every month. He knew that his relatives will come to visit him. Before their visit, he will uh, usually get ready to meet them, and he began to mutter the same usual gibberish. Opadi Gurgurdi Anaxdi of Laltain. It's in the meaningless phrase again. And Bishan Singh had a daughter at the time of admittance to the asylum, and now the daughter is a grown up child. Whenever she saw her father, Bishan Singh, she began to cry. And the important incident in this regard is that now their visit has been stopped due to the partition and the following violence. They were not able to make visits to the asylum. It was because of the partition and the violence.